Okay, well, I had gotten this book and I spoke, saying it was one had potential for enlightenment, but no. In love with the world, a monk's journey through the Bardos of living and dying. Okay, well, they had the experience, and what happened, he was very intellectually categorizing everything that happened. Okay, there was not surrender into it. It was, again, and this is the trouble with some of the Buddhist things, that they are ingrained with all this knowledge, intellectualizing it. And when you go into that, dismantling, it has to be 100% release, surrender into it, not sitting there trying to categorize it, because then you're staying in mental duality, holding to duality, trying to, go forward with what he's heard, what he's read, So anyway, I'm going to go in, read some parts of this. Before this one part. Yeah, he said, I did not experience the collapse of mother-father energies. In other words, he stayed in duality. He was in duality. At conception, mother-father energies come together, then move apart. And when we talk about mother-father energies, mother is like Shakti, and father is that before what comes into existence. Okay. He says usually occurs prior to mother-child luminosity, which is at the very end of the bardo of dying. That had not happened. Okay. Specifically, he says there, that did not happen. I did not know where I was. So he's still in that I-me identification. It has not broken down, has not imploded, has not... So he says merging with the body of enlightenment would have burned up karmic seeds. I would not have continued to the next stage. The luminosity that is that intense. How regrettable that I came so close to forever inhabiting the clarity of my own Buddhahood. So again, he didn't make it. He said, I might never again be blessed with such favored circumstances until I physically die. I can aspire to this opportunity. I can pray for it, but I cannot know if that will happen. Now I must continue with only mere reflections of enlightenment. Okay, now reading what he thinks are reflections of enlightenment, really where he was transitioning to was just an expanded state of witness state, that heart opening where you feel one with everything. Okay, that ability, witness state, is he was looking at what was happening and was talking about it as he's going through it. That's witness state. Okay, that is not the breakdown that goes to enlightenment. When you go through the breakdown that goes through enlightenment, what takes place? There is no you. Okay, there is no you. There is no world. Okay, there is no cognizant thought of this or that. Okay, everything breaks down, and the only thing that's there in that moment is that grand divine is. I have never been born, I have never died. I am that divine is. Okay. And even you say, I am, that's again not right, because that's using words of duality. Because in that moment, you don't exist. Okay. The only thing that exists is this primal divine is. Okay. Now, his going through it, he's conscious of a world, he's conscious of himself, he's conscious that he's feeling this great expansion. Okay, this great expansion and this oneness with duality. Okay. It's not that even a momentary, he didn't even have a momentary glimpse of that divine is. It was all dualistic in nature, and he thinks that's a glimpse of the divine. Okay? And again, that's the things that I see the problems with especially, and he is the head of many of these monasteries. That's the problem when you get in and you see them in, not Darjeeling, up in Dharamsala. You see them up in Dharamsala, all the monks out there, and they go through this thing, and they are challenging one another to a debate. And you see them out there. They talk the thing, and then that's it. Boom, that's it. It's all intellectual. Now, there are some Buddhist things that are based in practice, but there are some Buddhist things that are based in just intellectual knowledge. And when I read this, I see he's intellectualized everything. He's trying to, and when you're going through that breakdown, you can't hold to that. He's holding to duality. He's holding to this meism. He's holding to an identity. Okay? So unfortunately, no, he didn't go through the whole Bardo realms. And again, when I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and it talks of the Bardos, you go through that in a Kundalini awakening journey. You go through the hungry ghosts. You go through all of these things you face. Okay? He didn't face all of those things. So I'm greatly disappointed in the in love with the world amongst journey through the Bardos of living and dying. Okay? It's really mistakenly titled. Okay. So I was hoping this is one book that I could recommend to the students, on Guru Purnima, but no. Okay. You can read it and you can see where he's intellectually going through all this stuff, trying to categorize it as he's going through it. But again, reading it, it was an expansion of the witness state where you feel like you're separate in a way. You're witnessing what's happening. You can discuss it as it's happening. And that grand expansion of the heart where you feel that oneness, okay, that you are one with everything, but that's not enlightenment. You're not one with the world. You're not in love with the world. There is no world there. Okay? So he's got quite a bit of distance yet to go. And yet he's the head of so many monasteries. That's the problem with organized spiritual journeys. Because they have expectations of X, Y, Z. Okay. When you really get to that moment, you have a moment of, like I said, great fear. You're going to die. Okay. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't know if you're going to die, if you're going to be possessed. It's the great chasm that one goes beyond. And to go through that chasm, like in my journey, it was on the altar of truth I lay myself, and that was it. I knew I had done everything that I could do in my spiritual search to that point. And now you have reached the point of, that's it. Here's this great chasm, this last great fear. And that's the chasm of going beyond ego. Okay? It's not something, and people think it's some kind of intellectual ideology. Boom, I'm going to have a light bulb moment, and I'm beyond ego, and I've seen it. No, that's not what it is. Really, it feels like a death. Okay? There's that moment of absolute, utter, complete surrender, because you don't know what's going to happen. Okay? And you're saying, I hope that God pulls me through, but I don't know. But you want to know truth more than you fear this fear. Okay? So on the altar of truth, I lay myself, and then boom. There was no me. There was no world. There were none of the five senses. It's not something you get with the five senses. It's not something you're visualizing, that you're seeing. There is no me to see. Okay? Now, I know this is hard to understand when you're in the dualistic mind. But truly, there is no me at that point. There is no world. It has never existed. The only thing that exists is that great eternal is. What you would say, that Godhood. Okay? Where they say in the Bible, nobody sees the face of the Father and lives. Okay? Because there is no face. There is no you there. Okay? The you dismantles and sees that all the storylines you have carried, all of these things were like dreams within dreams. That's why you say that it's awakened. What did Buddha say? I'm awakened. People say he didn't say he was enlightened. Yes, he did. He said, I am awakened. Because it's like a dream within a dream. This is illusory. It can feel very real. But when there is this dismantling that takes place, and you know that the only reality is that divine is. Now, I don't care whether you want to name the divine is Yahweh, God, Allah. It doesn't matter. For God to, and then you have this thing when you come back out of it, okay, and the world appears, and you don't know how long you're in there. It's timeless. It's a timeless space. It could be second, it could be years. It's timeless there. And you hear the divine Om. You hear the whole thing, and yet you hear it all extended throughout eternity. Again, something that cannot be explained. Dichotomy. There's so many dichotomies that are there. When one comes out of it, you're in a whole different perception, a whole different cognition, a whole different, it takes quite a while, it takes a number of years to be able to ground in the dualistic realm. But again, what happens in the world of Advaita, it's prior to any of the expressions of the dualistic realm, prior to. And it runs like a thread through all of existence. These things come and go, but nothing touches that divine is. And that divine is, is within the center of all beings. You would have no life if there wasn't that divine is. So you can never truly be separate from it. So many things come into cognition. when one comes out of it, it's like hitting a brick wall. You're going 180 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you hit this brick wall and you're stopped. Okay? All motion is stopped. And it's like coming out, the persona that has chased this for eons, for centuries, for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. All of a sudden, that's it. There's no search anymore. It ended. Well, now what? Okay, because that's been your whole focus for lifetimes. And you come to the end, and that's the end of it. Now what? It's really a mental. You look at that, and it's so odd. Well, what now? My whole existence, reason for existence, was to search and to find this. Well, now that it's found, now what? There's no more search. Okay? Your whole thing, lifetime after lifetime, in so many different ways, being monks, being nuns, being Buddhists, being Native American, being, you searched and you searched through all of these different, and then finally it takes place and one dismantles. And there's that cognition, I've never been born, I've never died. I am not this. Okay? I am that I am. I am that I am. Okay? And so this body, this form plays out its prarabdha karma. Whatever come in, you play it out. It plays out. Okay? It's more than being one with existence. It's prior to that. So it's so hard to try to describe to people what that journey is. When one comes out of it, you could just sit there for months and watch a leaf on a tree move, and you feel it fluttering in your heart, that leaf. You are that leaf. Okay? One becomes still. Before that, the mind is trying to create this, create that, create that, create that. But when one goes into that, dismantling, the mind stills. The mind of dualistic reasoning stills. I have a writing on that. Those that speak do not know, and those that know those that know do not speak. Why is that? Because all language comes out of duality, and duality can never experience or express that which is prior to. And one finds God is not one because one is that. One is Shakti. Shakti is one. Shakti can be subdivided in so many ways. But the zero is always indivisible. It really cannot be divided. Okay. That's the illusion of the one. That's why ego dismantles. Okay. Shakti is like the first expression. That's why it fights to ego. Ego was the last thing that Kali was fighting, was ego. The biggest demon that created all the rest of it was that mind, that singular, that mind. Okay, the mind that wants to express in so many ways. Okay. prior to that is the indivisible, that which is without name and form. Okay. So you have, like the triune God, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Father is that which is prior to. Son is the expression. Holy Ghost is that energy, the energy that appears to subdivide. Okay. So anyway, coming back to this. Yeah, it was a letdown. Now, some people will read it and think, oh my goodness, this is so fabulous. It's so well. Those that have made the totality of the journey, okay, they see this as still a mind, that expression that is attempting to do a journey according to what it is heard it should be. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave this here. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, when you make that journey, and it's a solitary journey, it's like the hermit. And I don't care if you are in a monastery or whether you are a sadhu, living up in the caves in the Himalayas, or whether you are a person that's in society, such as ones like Kabir. Kabir didn't go hide out in the Himalayas. He was not in a monastery. He was not in a religious organization. He was a weaver. And the journey is when one is within that mind, looking at the mind, questioning deeply, surrender to the Spirit, surrender, not my will, but thy will be done, surrender, 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 witness, question, surrender. Okay. It has to come out of that deep longing of wanting to know truth more than anything, wanting to know God more than anything, and giving up the trappings of the world for the time in order to do that. Okay? So one cannot judge what is realization based on what it looks like out here. They may remain a monk. They may go back into society. They may just sit there and witness. Okay, so many faces of it. But so many people want to judge based on, oh, he's wearing monk robes. He must be higher. He's the head of a monastery. Wow, he must really be higher. Okay. Oh my goodness. She's wearing makeup. She's wearing jewelry. Forget it. She can't know anything. Okay. It's a personal, internal mystics search. And a mystic you will find in so many areas of society. Okay. Or leaving society as it appears to be. It doesn't matter whether one is dressed as a monk, whether one is dressed as a householder. It doesn't matter. What matters is the internal journey, 24/7. Your focus, if you are going to get to realization, is 24/7. Never letting go of it. Okay? There's no time to go out and party and play and, all of this type of thing. That's foregone. Okay? If one is out there partying, playing, forget it. You're in the world of duality. That's where you're going to stay stuck. But you have to make the internal journey, wanting it more than the next breath. Maybe you are leaving because you have been in a lot of pain. Okay? In the case here was in a lot of pain, mental pain, physical pain. And I would do anything to get out of the world. I wanted nothing more to do with it. And that's part of it. You have to, again, let go of those things. You have to let go of it. Okay? Wanted to get out of the world. There was so much pain. And I would do anything. I would face death to get out of this world. But then, afterwards, you come back out of, that trip of dismantling, mind stilling. Okay? And you can read about this in the Tripura Rahasya. It will talk about the levels and layers of enlightenment. Maybe some have a glimpse of it, they come back out, they reroute, the mind reroutes. You can also read the Ashtavakra Gita, the Vivek-Chudamani, Tripura Rahasya. All of those things will talk about the path to enlightenment, what it is, what it's not. But they will all tell you the mind has to be still. If the mind reroutes in the thing of duality, it starts up, you have this ongoing speech, revolving hamster wheel of thoughts, then one again grounds into. So all of them will talk about the mind needs to be stilling. It goes into quietude. It does not reroute again. For here, the experience was I didn't know anything about any of these texts, Tripura Rahasya, any of those things. But after the dismantling, I spoke with my guru, told him what was happening. He said, "Are you convinced of this?" I said, "No, I'm not convinced, because to be convinced of something, there has to be doubt somewhere. In this, there's no doubt. It is what it is." Okay? It is what it is. We said, that's it. That's realization. That's it. And he gave me the books, Ashtavakra Gita, Vivek-Chudamani. What are those? Read them. I read them and I go, yes, 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 yes. It wasn't I wonder, but it was yes, 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 this is it. This is the experience. This is the reality. This is what is. It wasn't something to be tried to be understood. It was the outcome of the experience that's here. The reality. The shift of reality. That's it. Yes, 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 yes. It was like reading a diary. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So they can become very good stabilizing books. I don't say read it before realization, before this is dismantled, because then you try to put it into place. You try to manufacture it, artificially manufacture something. And I have to say, with this guy, it was like that sort of type of thing, artificially trying to manufacture what the Bardos are. Okay. But if you go through the whole of the Kundalini experience and one dismantles and remains just simply in that cognition, then one read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and you go, yes, those are the Bardos, but you face it consciously, not at death. That's why I had such great hope when I saw this book, The Monk's Journey Through the Bardos. Well, he didn't go through the Bardos, okay, of living and dying. He didn't go through all the Bardos. Yeah, here, whether the eyes are open, whether the eyes are closed, there's just stillness. Okay, that's why I say people, give some information or ideology what to speak or read on, because it's, like I said, very still here. I don't have a mind that's cranking on this and cranking on that. It left. I don't know what to tell you. But it's like here, if I do balanced breath, it's an immediate boom, boom, to that stilling, to that. Anyway, these things are just, it's very hard to speak of because you're trying to put into words something that's beyond words. Trying to get minds in duality to understand what is prior to duality and what it is to be within that consciousness, that awareness. Yeah. So I'm going to leave this here. Anyway, love and light to everyone. Please be well and continue your journeys forward wherever you're at within them. Okay. Thank you for tuning in.